In my previous life, I accidentally stumbled upon the affair between my husband, Jiang Heng, and Shen Su. Shen Su was the new continuation wife my father-in-law had just married. Jiang Heng, you've disregarded all human ethics, she is your stepmother, if father finds out. Jiang Heng let out a cold sneer. My father won't have the chance to find out. Besides, I am a natural eunuch, completely incapable of getting a woman pregnant. So where did your child come from? To silence me, he force-fed me poison and personally stabbed our child to death. When I opened my eyes again, I waved my hand grandly. The Jiang residence is so big. How can one wife be enough? More children, more blessings, concubines, equal wives, bring them all in. The bright red bridal veil fell in response. Dressed in red wedding attire, the handsome and extraordinary Jiang Heng came into view. Hiniang, it has been 3 years since we parted in the capital. I've finally married you. He held my hand, his eyes full of tender affection. I suppressed my nausea and got up smoothly, pulling my hand away, walked to the table, poured a cup of wine, and handed it to him. 3 years. But why does it feel like I just saw you yesterday? A flash of surprise and smugness passed through Jiang Heng's eyes. Huniang, after 3 years apart, you've become so smooth-tongued. He raised his wine cup and came over to exchange drinks with me. I smiled faintly and tilted my head back, drinking it all by myself. From what I knew of Jiang Heng, he must have thought I said that to please him. But I wasn't lying. I really did just see him yesterday. Having achieved the highest rank in the imperial examination, guests filled the halls, and the Jiang residence's courtyard was bustling like a marketplace. In the study's secret chamber, I lay prone on the ground, enduring the excruciating pain of the poison, crawling past the corpse of my dowry maid, who had just breathed her last, inching toward Jiang Heng step by step, clutching the hem of his robe, begging him to save me, to save the child in my belly. But he was embracing Shen Su, my father-in-law's newly-wed second wife, and kicked me aside. I am a natural eunuch, completely incapable of impregnating a woman. His face twisted, sneering as he viciously plunged a dagger into my abdomen, then twisted it around madly several times. Then he got up and rolled together with that nominal stepmother-in-law, like animals in heat. Completely ignoring me lying on the ground, slowly bleeding dry in agony. I died filled with immense unwillingness and resentment, harboring hatred to the very end. Yet, I never expected the King of Hell to take pity on me, letting me experience rebirth on my wedding day. Hiniang, why does your face look so awful? Tired. The wedding night is precious. Let's rest. Jiang Heng set down his wine cup and came over to embrace me. I instinctively stepped back, dodging his hands. Then, under his faintly angry gaze, I frowned and bent over, bracing myself against the table with my hand. Husband, my stomach suddenly hurts terribly. I am afraid my monthly flow has come. Jiang Heng's face instantly darkened. Huiniang, if you are not ready, I won't force you. But women always avoid their monthly period for the wedding. As a noble lady of the capital, how could you not know? This excuse is no good. Husband, please don't be upset. The days were originally calculated properly, but I have a cold womb and weak constitution. My monthly period has always been irregular. 2 dowry maids, Chunhua and Chushi, came over to help me sit down. Young Master Heng, please don't be angry. Miss caught a chill from falling into the water that time. Her monthly period has indeed been irregular these past few years. I pretended to be extremely vexed, bit my lip and pointed at the maid who had just spoken. Chunhua is beautiful and clever. Let her serve my husband tonight first. Chunhua suddenly raised her head, wild joy bursting from her eyes. Jiang Heng refused my proposal and went to the study alone. I wasn't surprised at all. Grand Tutor Prime Minister Ling intended to take on a final disciple before retiring from office. Father had just recommended Jiang Heng. At such a critical moment, He would never let the scandal of sleeping with the bride's dowry maid on the wedding day get out. "Miss, I'll go prepare the menstrual cloth." Chunhua suppressed her disappointment, took out the cloth strips from the bundle, and followed behind Jiang Heng out. After the two walked away, Kyushi asked in confusion, "Why did Miss deceive the master? Your monthly period has clearly passed." I looked at her. "Why didn't you say so just now? I grew up with Miss since childhood. Naturally, I am of one mind with Miss." I approvingly pulled her to my side. "You can keep your composure and are wholeheartedly loyal to your mistress. I will definitely take good care of you in this lifetime. But why does Miss want to hide this from Chunhua, and even have her go serve the master? You and Chunhua are both my personal maids. Why can you remember my monthly cycle while she doesn't know?" I watched the direction Chunhua left in and sneered. "That is because her heart isn't on me at all. I am the legitimate daughter of the minister's residence. With a noble status, Jiang Heng is a merchant's son, the lowest of the low. 3 years ago, he came to the capital on behalf of his father to deliver tribute and saved me when I accidentally fell into the water. At that time, I was deceived by his gentle, jade-like facade. I fell in love at first sight and refused to marry anyone but him, first crying, then making scenes, then threatening to hang myself, then going on hunger strikes after causing a ruckus at home for years. My parents really couldn't win against me, so they had no choice but to agree to this marriage. I naively thought that the devoted love between Jiang Heng and me was a fate destined across 1,000 lifetimes. But I only learned the truth right before I died. Jiang Heng had set his sights on naive, simple-minded me from the very start. He seduced Chunhua and promised to take her as a concubine in the future. Then the two of them schemed and planned that hero saves the beauty act, successfully drawing me into their trap. Jiang Heng went through all this trouble to bait me, just because he wanted to cling to my father and secure a good future for himself. Oh, 4 early the next morning, just as I finished washing up, Jiang Heng came in with the doctor. "Huiniang, you suddenly had stomach pain last night. I worried all night and specially invited a doctor to come see you." Jiang Heng is suspicious by nature. I knew this well from my past life. Then I sat down openly and extended my right hand. "Doctor, how is Huiniang's health?" The physician glanced at me, then turned to Jiang Heng. "The young madam has cold qi stagnating in her body, causing kidney yang deficiency. She'll experience pain during every menstrual period, and it will take gradual treatment to fully recover." The suspicion in Jiang Heng's eyes dissipated. I seized the opportunity to pull him down to sit. "Husband, you've been exhausted from the wedding preparations for days and couldn't sleep at all last night. Your complexion looks terrible now. Why not have the doctor examine you while he is here and prescribe some calming medicine?" No need. "Huiniang, I just remembered I have something to attend to in the study. I'll go first." Jiang Heng looked flustered, making excuses and trying to escape. But I clung to him tightly. "Husband, you care so much for Huiniang. It truly moves me. But you are destined to enter officialdom and become a prime minister in the future. The glory of our entire household rests solely on you. You must take proper care of your health." Seeing the suspicion in my expression, Jiang Heng had no choice but to resign himself to sitting down. But his eyes stared fixedly at the physician before him. "Doctor, my health. I know my own condition. Please examine me thoroughly, and whatever you do, don't let my wife worry." The physician pondered for a moment, then spoke slowly. "Madam, rest assured. Young Master Jiang is merely overthinking and lacking in energy. Nothing else is seriously wrong." Jiang Heng's tense arms immediately relaxed, and he respectfully escorted the physician out. I took out a valuable jade bracelet and gave Chushi a look. Chushi immediately followed her out. As night fell, Chunhua was absent-mindedly making my bed. I came in without showing any emotion and called Chushi over. "My husband has been overworking himself and still has to tire himself with studying. It is truly exhausting. Take the brewed calming medicine to the study. Chushi awkwardly shook the fabric in her hands. Miss, we've traveled by water for so long, many of the chests have gotten damp. These precious fabrics really need to be dried quickly. Why not? Have Chunhua go instead. Chunhua immediately walked over and tapped Chushi's forehead. She chided, "You girl, taking advantage of Mrs. Good Temper, always slacking off. Fine, I'll trouble myself to go in your place." Her tone sounded very helpless, but I could clearly see the corners of her mouth were very hard to suppress. I knew Chunhua was deeply in love with Zhang Heng, and didn't understand the idea of assessing the situation or taking things slow. She certainly wouldn't let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity tonight. Sure enough, the servant I sent to follow came back to report. Chunhua had sprinkled some kind of powder into the pot. He remembered my instructions and didn't stop her. That night, as expected, Chunhua didn't come back. I slept soundly through the night. As soon as dawn broke, I took Kyushi to the main house to pay respects to Master Zhang and bid farewell. According to custom, the third day after the wedding is when the bride returns to her family home. My family home was far away in the capital, thousands of miles away. If I truly didn't go back, it would be understandable. But Zhang Heng was eager to obtain an official position and couldn't wait for his father to help him. So he had set the plan to depart for the capital today, early in the morning. 4 lavish carriages, fully loaded, were lined up in a row at the entrance of the Zhang residence. Behind the carriages followed servant women, maids, and guards, a total of 50 to 60 people. The grand procession drew the townspeople to stop and watch, filled with endless envy. With Kyushi's support, I got onto the carriage. But after waiting and waiting, Zhang Heng still hadn't shown up. The onlooking townspeople began to murmur among themselves. Master Zhang's expression grew darker and darker as he waved the steward over. "Damn it. What time is it already? Go check and see what is holding things up." I lifted the carriage curtain and comforted him gently. "Father-in-law, please don't worry. My husband stayed in the study last night. Surely studying hard through the night. Since he worked so hard, it is no trouble for Huanyang to wait a bit." I had already added something extra to last night's medicine. Chunhua didn't know, and added all the aphrodisiac powder into it as well. I am afraid Zhang Heng had a very hard time last night, unable to sleep all night. Sure enough, just as I finished speaking, I saw a servant woman come out with a look of horror on her face. Master Zhang sensed something was wrong, but before he could speak up to stop her, the servant's words had already reached everyone present. The young master bedded the young madam's dowry maid last night, exhausted himself completely, and can't be woken up no matter how much we call. We've already sent for a doctor. The whole crowd erupted in an uproar. Chushi's scream rang out right on cue. "Oh no!" The young madam was overwhelmed with anger and fainted. The news that the young master of the Zhang family had slept with his own wife's dowry maid on the second day of their wedding, causing the young madam of the Zhang family to faint from rage, spread through every street and alley in the city in less time than it takes for an incense stick to burn. This was of course partly thanks to me fanning the flames. Zhang Heng's image and reputation took a nosedive. The onlookers even automatically crafted a tragic persona for me, a woman who married far from home only to be cruelly betrayed. I was in a great mood and had someone hurry up and spread this news to the capital. Zhang Heng was woken up by the physician's silver needles and came to my room disheveled to beg for forgiveness. I helped him up with a virtuous look on my face. How could my husband be at fault? It is Huanyang's body that is too weak, making things hard for you. Actually, I had already planned to give Chunhua to you eventually. It has just happened a bit earlier. Zhang Heng nervously licked his lips. "Huanyang, that wretched woman Chunhua drugged me. Tomorrow I'll poison her so she can't speak, and then banish her from the estate. As for this matter, your father is already worried about you being married so far away. So let's not let him worry about this too. All right? I smiled even more gently. As my husband wishes. Zhang Heng left satisfied, looking touched. I immediately had someone summon the manor's steward. Chunhua is my dowry maid who grew up with me since childhood. She must not be mistreated in any way. Elevate her to concubine starting today, and let her live in Kuizhu courtyard. Chunhua came to thank me for my grace, kneeling before me and sobbing endlessly. Miss, Chunhua doesn't want to be a concubine. I only want to serve by Mrs. side. I flatly refused. These weren't Chunhua's true feelings. She wasn't stupid. She knew last night's incident had ruined Zhang Heng's reputation, and he would never summon her again. Staying with me, she could at least see Zhang Heng every day and look for another opportunity. I patiently listened to her tearful pleas, rewarded her with a tacky gold hairpin, then waved for the servants to drag her out. Do I look like some pushover? In my past life, she tricked me into going to the study, pushed me and Chushi into a secret room, and we caught Zhang Heng in his shameful act. That gut-wrenching pain, unforgettable until death. Chunhua was elevated to concubine and granted residence in the courtyard closest to Zhang Heng. This news became the hottest gossip in every restaurant and tea house across the city by lunchtime. People were curious just how breathtakingly beautiful this concubine Hua was, that she could make young Master Jiang disregard the face of his legitimate wife, the minister's daughter, bedding her on the second day of marriage, and elevating her to concubine on the third. Right at mealtime, in a private room at the restaurant, the prefect and several local officials were entertaining a superior from the capital, who was here on official business. When the gossip reached the private room, the imperial envoy from the capital fell silent. The prefect recalled that just half an incense stick ago, he had been boasting about how the city's folk were simple and honest, and scholarly culture thrived here. He couldn't help but blush with embarrassment. Lord Liu, the imperial envoy, spoke up. Our dynasty most abhors favoring concubines over wives and corrupting moral order. I will report this matter truthfully to the court. The prefect nodded and bowed in agreement, while in his heart he had already cursed Zhang Heng to hell and back. All of this was told to me by the servants at Zhang Heng's side, because as soon as the imperial envoy left, Prefect Liu summoned Zhang Heng and gave him a thorough tongue lashing, and threw out his silver notes and apology gifts on the spot. Prefect Liu's actions became a weather vane for the city. In no time, request letters and visitation gifts that had piled up like snowflakes were returned by every household. I stood outside the study, listening to the sounds of furious smashing inside, my eyes curving into a smile. Jiang Heng, this is only just the beginning. That night, I had a nightmare. In the dream, I returned once again to that suffocating dark room. The air reeking of blood and debauchery, Jiang Heng's twisted face, and the smug woman. Su Hunyang. Susu's medical skills are superb. I am a natural eunuch. Whose bastard are you carrying? Once you are dead, I'll change Susu's name and surname, have her accompany me to my post, and she'll become my wife fair and square. I was in such agony, I wished for death, each cry drawn in blood, 2 streams of bloody tears flowing from my eyes. Jiang Heng, you disregard all human decency. She is your legitimate mother. No. Susu and I were in love first. The old man threatened me using your family and forcibly married Susu. Tell me, shouldn't this debt be on your head? Jiang Heng's bloodshot eyes glared at me viciously. The blade in his hand kept twisting inside my abdomen. Bastard. Die. All of you die. Incredibly real pain swept through my entire body, and I suddenly sat up in bed. Chushi climbed onto the bed, held me and gently patted my back. Miss, another nightmare. It is okay now. I hugged her back. Her body was warm and soft, not like the corpse on the ground in my dream with eyes still open in death. My hands and feet were trembling, my teeth chattering. Chushi, that matter. Have you found out? The young master's personal servant, Said that woman lives in Zhuangyuan Alley, in the south of the city. The young master goes there every 5 days, and no one else is allowed to follow. Also, the physician said, the young master's pulse is just like a normal person's. I frowned. Just like a normal person, in my previous life, Jiang Heng killed me and my child, though I hated him to the bone. But thinking back to the bridge of helplessness, even drinking 3 bowls of mungpo's soup couldn't help me let go. It was because Jiang Heng said he was born impotent, yet I was pregnant. Now after rebirth, I pestered Jiang Heng to have his pulse taken and bribed the physician to learn the truth. So it seems Shen Su deceived Jiang Heng, making him firmly believe he had a hidden ailment and couldn't have children. What a vicious scheme. Good. A generous reward. Jiang Heng's birth mother passed away 5 years ago, and the mansion had been without a mistress for a long time. A few months ago, Master Jing encountered mountain bandits while out collecting debts, and barely escaped with his life into the city. On the verge of death, he was saved by an orphan girl from the south of the city, who nursed him back to health. Master Jing, like a withered tree meeting spring, intended to take her as his second wife. In my past life, I was grateful for this stepmother's righteous deed, and always treated her with respect and courtesy. Until I caught her stark naked, engaged in passionate lovemaking with Jiang Heng. The carriage stopped in front of an inconspicuous house in the south of the city. I cut off my memories, got off the carriage, and knocked on the door. The woman's joyful expression abruptly vanished when she saw me, replaced by panic and unease. Seeing this familiar, beautiful face again, I clenched my back teeth and balled my hands into fists. Shen Su, we finally meet again. From your expression, you know who I am. On the day of the grand wedding, the scene was magnificent. Everyone wanted to catch a glimpse of the noble lady from the capital, so I went too. I smiled harmlessly, warm and gentle. Miss Shen Su is the one with city-toppling beauty. Otherwise, why would my father-in-law keep you in his heart, thinking of you day and night? Shen Su's expression changed drastically at once. I just know a little about medicine. I couldn't bear to watch someone die without helping. I had no other intentions. I held her hand, my voice becoming even softer. Don't be nervous. I just heard the servants mention you. I am here to thank you on behalf of my father-in-law. This is a token of gratitude. Kyushi handed over an exquisite box. This is a thank you gift for Miss. Although it can't compare to the elegant refinement of what father-in-law sent, it is still my sincere gesture. I'll surely be troubling Miss often from now on. Shen Su was about to decline when the box suddenly opened. The chest full of gold and silver gleamed brilliantly under the sunlight. Shen Su came from a poor family and had lived a hard life since childhood. She had no interest in those impractical, exquisite jewelry. What she loved was this gold and silver. In my past life, whenever I gave her jewelry, she looked indifferent, yet she always showed heartache when I rewarded servants with gold and silver. Sure enough, she couldn't bring herself to refuse anymore, and bashfully accepted the box. You are too kind, sister. Let's visit more often. On the carriage back to the city, Chushi was full of contempt. Sister, does she even deserve that? Greedy and rude, what does young master even see in her? I looked out the window and couldn't help but laugh. Probably the thrill. Father and son falling for the same woman, just thinking about it is a forbidden drama. If this were written into a storybook, it would definitely be a sensation. After all, how can tales of talented scholars and beautiful ladies catch eyes like the secrets of wealthy families? Jiang Heng saw me as a stepping stone, set me up in this scheme, involving so many old Master Jiang couldn't possibly be unaware. Climb above their class. They schemed against others' lives. Birds of a feather with Jiang Heng, definitely not a good person. A gentleman helps others achieve their wishes. In this life, I must help these 3 ill-fated lovebirds find their way sooner. Shortly after I returned to the manor, the steward came with rewards. The master praises the young madam for being worthy of her prestigious noble family background. extremely well-versed in propriety. These shops and land deeds are the master's token of appreciation. I pretended to be surprised. How could I possibly accept this? Miss Shen showed kindness to father-in-law. Expressing gratitude is only human nature. It is not worthy of such praise from father-in-law. In fact, while I was still on my way back to the manor, I had already sent someone ahead to spread the news in the main courtyard. Master Jiang had always wanted to bring Shen Su into the manor, and was so anxious he was scratching his ears and cheeks. But since I, as the new bride, had only married in for less than 3 days, he really couldn't bring himself to propose remarriage at this moment. Now seeing that I not only didn't despise or oppose it, but even took the initiative to get close to Shen Su, he was so excited he wished he could marry Shen Su and bring her into the manor tomorrow. Actually, in my previous life, Master Jiang only held out for a few months before bringing Shen Su into the manor. Now, I've just moved up the timeline. That is all. Please convey to father-in-law that there is nothing wrong with pursuing happiness. After all these years of hardship, it is time for father-in-law to think of himself. In my previous life, I devoted my whole heart to planning a future for Zhang Heng. I was so foolish about these matters in the inner courtyard that I knew absolutely nothing. Now, I am going to sit back and enjoy this wonderful show of father and son, fighting over the same woman. I hummed a little tune and ordered Chushi to put away the property deeds and land deeds. When I turned around, I saw Zhang Heng with an ashen, defeated look on his face. He had been quite unlucky these past 2 days. The nobles he had previously flattered and clung to were now avoiding him like the plague, because of his ridiculous behavior. In his fury, he ordered to have Chunhua driven out. But I stopped him. After putting on a show of deep master-servant bond, Jiang Heng had no choice but to grit his teeth and swallow this silent loss. Huiniang is in such good spirits today. Where did you go? The south side of the city. I didn't hide it from him and admitted openly. I heard father-in-law ran into danger while collecting debts and was fortunately saved by a woman from the south side. I went to thank her in person today. Jiang Heng's expression changed drastically, his eyes flickering rapidly, locked firmly on my face. By the way, husband, have you met that woman? Number. Haven't met her. But village women are crude and vulgar, don't know proper manners. Huiniang, you'd better not go there anymore. That won't do. This woman holds a special place in father-in-law's heart. Husband, our family is about to have a joyous occasion. I turned around to go back to my room, walked a few steps, then looked back. Jiang Heng, frozen in place, had a smile uglier than if he were crying. Over the next few days, I often went to the south side of the city. Jiang Heng wanted to get close to me, but I rejected him each time with the excuse of running errands for father-in-law. In front of Shen Su, I put on a blissfully pampered look, bringing up Jiang Heng from time to time. She flattered and went along with me on the surface, but her hands hidden in her sleeves were clenched tightly together. Reaching her limit, she finally asked competitively, I heard that the young madam and young Master Jiang haven't consummated the marriage yet? I put away my smile, staring at her with a half-smile. Miss seems to know everything about the affairs in the manor. She froze, explaining in a panic. It is just, I heard some gossip from the old women who came to deliver things. I shyly covered my mouth with a handkerchief, adding fuel to the fire. I see. Don't laugh at me, Miss Susu, but I've fully recovered. I am planning to invite my husband over tonight. Bang. The teacup in her hand fell and shattered into pieces. That evening, I sent Chushi to invite Jiang Heng, only to be told he had left the residence a quarter of an hour ago. Without asking, I knew Shen Su must have heard what I said during the day and made up an excuse to summon him. At first, Jiang Heng could still use the excuse of being newly married and not wanting to offend me and the Su family to delay bringing Shen Su into the residence. He planned to kick me out directly once his wings were fully grown. But now Shen Su watched as Jiang Heng slept with a maid on the 2nd day and took in a concubine on the 3rd. Yet, I could generously not mind at all. How could she still believe Zhang Heng's excuses? The next day, Qixi got some news from the servant boys. Shen Su and Jiang Heng had a fierce argument. Jiang Heng learned from her that I intended to invite him to consummate our marriage, and immediately wanted to leave and return to the residence. Shen Su cried and made a scene, refusing to let go. In the end, Jiang Heng still lost the battle. After warning the servant boys not to let anything slip in front of me, he spent the night coaxing Shen Su and came up with a stopgap measure. After hearing this, Qixi gnashed her teeth, seething with indignation. Miss, the young master is truly heartless and depraved. He actually coaxed Shen Su into agreeing to let Master Zhang bring her into the household first, so the two of them could carry on secretly. As expected of a lowly merchant family that can't be brought to public attention so filthy and disgusting behind closed doors. I sneered coldly, my nails digging into my palm. I never expected that it was Jiang Heng who had no bottom line, voluntarily proposing to bring Shen Su into the household as a replacement wife. I recalled his twisted face before my death, blaming all of this on me. I wished I could grab a knife and rush to the study right now to end all of this. But no, I've been reborn not to trade my life for some scumbags, Qixi quietly summoned the physician. When I saw Shen Su again, the corners of her eyes and brows radiated unconcealed smugness. Did the young madam get what she wished for that night? I shook my head in disappointment. My husband was exchanging poems and discussing essays with his classmates that night, and didn't return all night. I also caught a cold. Qixi chimed in. Miss, please focus on recovering. These past few days, concubine Hua has been attending to him, and the young master hasn't even left the study. Clearly, he is quite satisfied. He can't bear to be apart from her for even a moment now. Qixi quietly reminded me of the time, and I hurriedly stood up to take my leave. It is time. I need to go back and attend to my husband's medicine. Miss Su, the day after tomorrow the wedding escort will arrive early in the morning. These old maids will stay here to serve you for now. After I left, Shen Su was stunned for a long time. She wanted to take a sip of tea, but found the cup was already empty. She got up to pour water, and as she passed by the kitchen, she heard two cleaning servants gossiping. What a sin. The master's body is half ruined, how can he still perform? Isn't this just ruining Miss Su? Miss Su has such outstanding looks, no less than our young madam. What a pity she'll have to live as a grass widow for the rest of her life. If you ask me, one really has to know how to pick the right family to be born into. Who can argue with that? Concubine Hua has such good fortune. Although she is not the legal wife, once the new year passes, the young master and young madam will return to the capital. With help from the in-laws, when the young master becomes a high official, concubine Hua will be the concubine of a powerful household. How can a mere small merchant compare? Miss Su really has a bitter fate. Sigh, let's stop talking. Hurry up and get back to work. She is entering the household the day after tomorrow. Where is there any room for change? Outside the kitchen, Shen Su's fingers gradually tightened around the cup. The carriage made several turns and pulled into a secluded alley. Qixi got off the carriage and knocked on a door. Before long, she returned carrying a small bundle on her back. Miss, the physician said he thanks you for your great kindness and will be at your command for the rest of his life. I chuckled softly. He is a smart man. During this time, Jiang Heng kept pestering me to consummate our marriage. Left with no choice, I took a cold bath, then sat by the window letting the cold wind blow on me for half the night. By morning, I got what I wished for. I caught a cold with a high fever that wouldn't go down. After Jiang Heng came to confirm, he left with eyes full of disappointment. I immediately got up, handed Qixi a letter, and sent her to find a doctor to get a certain secret medicine. The letter was to be sent to the capital, its contents recommending the doctor's son to go to the capital, study under Prime Minister Ling, and attend the Imperial Academy. That evening, Qixi stuffed a medicine packet into my hands. Her face flushed red with excitement. The doctor said this medicine is very potent. It is used for breeding livestock. I raised an eyebrow. The doctor knows what is up. The next day, when Chunhua went to the study to deliver chicken soup to Jiang Heng, she was pulled inside by the red-eyed Jiang Heng. For 2 whole days, Chunhua's cries grew increasingly miserable, and everyone in the manor made detours around the study. One morning, Qixi and I went out and ran into Jiang Heng's classmates at the main gate. The spirited young men greeted me with faces full of joy. Madam Prefect Liu has invited the academy students to a banquet at his residence today. Jiang Heng's name is on the list, and we've come to invite him to go with us. I tilted my head and looked at the old man beside them, whose hair and beard were all white and whose face was stern. Greetings, teacher, with you and his classmates visiting. My husband will surely be delighted. Please follow me. On the way to the study, I kept talking about how hard-working Jiang Heng was, how he studied day and night without rest. She appeared every bit the good wife who exhausted her mind and body for her husband's future and studies. It wasn't until they entered the courtyard of the study that loud, raucous laughter reached their ears. Heng Lang, you've been taking me for 2 whole days. I am going to die. You're really? But why do I feel you are enjoying it so much? Almost sucking this young master in. Turn around. Get down on all fours. After the sound of books and inkstones falling to the ground, came blush-inducing slapping sounds, and Chunhua's wailing screams. Everyone froze in place, their faces flushed red. My face instantly turned pale, and I ran out crying. According to Qixi, who stayed to watch the spectacle, the tutor's goatee was so angry it curled up to the sky. Jiang Heng came out disheveled to explain, but his eyes full of lust and the love marks on his chest and neck had already explained everything. The tutor left behind a remark of willingly depraved beyond saving and departed in fury. There are no walls in this world that don't let the wind through, and the matter still spread. What is more, those well-informed claimed that Prefect Liu's banquet invitation was actually obtained by the young Madame Jiang, through connections with the Su family in the capital, all so that young Master Jiang could pull himself together and gain favor from others. What a pity that young Master Jiang indulged in pleasures to the point of absurdity, wasting a good wife who broke her heart for her husband. Jiang Heng's already teetering reputation became even more precarious. After he sobered up, he furiously checked all the food and drinks, and finding nothing, locked Chunhua in the firewood shed. But that night at midnight, he stumbled his way into the firewood shed again. I heard from the servants that the wooden boards in the firewood shed creaked and groaned all night long. The servants and attendants of the Jing residence were all beaming with joy, tossing celebration coins into the crowd. Today our master celebrates a great occasion. The residence is hosting a banquet. Anyone who wishes to share in the wedding wine is welcome at the Jing residence. Everyone with their own thoughts in mind laughed and poured into the Jing residence, and the mansion immediately became noisy and bustling. I stood under the corridor, my whole body cold. That day it was just as lively. I was busy running in and out of the front hall, receiving guests, stretched too thin. Chunhua came to call me, saying she saw a guest had accidentally wandered into the study. The study had always been Jiang Heng's forbidden territory. No one was allowed in. Hearing someone had wandered in, I hurriedly took her and Qixi to check. Who would have thought? A rabbit fur cloak was draped over my shoulders. Qixi was adjusting my sash for me. Miss, the wind is strong. Let's go to the front hall. The bridal sedan has arrived. Shen Su, dressed in a phoenix crown and ceremonial robes, was helped to the front hall. Master Jiang was also dressed in wedding attire, the festive air making him look several years younger. I turned my head and glanced at Jiang Heng beside me. His gaze fell on the red silk in Shen Su's hands. The ceremonial announcer cleared his throat, but before he could call out the first line, someone beat him to it and interrupted. Master Jiang looked at Shen Su kneeling before him, his face ashen, Su, what is the meaning of this? Shansu lifted her bridal veil, tears streaming down her face. I am in love with young Master Jiang. Please, Master and young Madam, grant my wish. The crowd watching the ceremony fell silent in an instant, as if an invisible door had been slammed shut. Some people's faces were turning red from holding in their excitement. Chunhua's eyes were practically spitting fire. Miss Shen, once you complete the ceremony, you'll be the proper legitimate wife of the Jiang family. Why would you want to be a concubine? Shensu stared at her silk-clad figure and shot back mockingly. Aren't you a concubine too? Chushi, as if unable to bear watching Chunhua being bullied, stepped out from behind me. Concubine Hua was only elevated because the young master took her in. You and the young master don't even know each other. Why would the young master want you? Jiang Heng's body stiffened, and he was just about to say something, but Shensu's eyes, full of tender affection, looked over at him. Su and young Master Jiang are deeply in love. We've already secretly pledged ourselves to each other for life. The crowd instantly exploded. Good heavens! The Jiang family young master's kept mistress was actually sent to his own father to be married as his stepmother. Father and son sharing, no distinction between them. Coming today was totally worth it. What kind of huge scandal is this? I bit my lower lip and stepped back a few paces, leaning into Kyushi's arms. Husband, we never consummated our marriage since we wed, and it was actually because of Miss Shen. That night when I sent someone to summon you, did you? That is right. That night Heng Lang was indeed with me. Shensu jumped in to answer, the smugness in her eyes plain for all to see. Young Madam, Heng Lang and I are truly in love. If young Madam hadn't suddenly married in, the two of us would have long been wed. Everyone around looked at me with sympathy. A noble lady from the capital, properly married through a matchmaker, traveled thousands of miles to marry down, only to be called the love-stealing villain by a mistress. Shen Shu. Jiang Heng was both shocked and panicked, turning to raise his hand at Shen Su. Husband, I spoke up to stop him. Since she has privately pledged her life to you, she is a member of the Jiang family. As the principal wife, I should graciously accept this. It is just that father-in-law. Everyone turned their gaze back to the pitiful victim old Master Jiang. The muscles on old Master Jiang's face twitched several times, each word practically squeezed out through clenched teeth. Since it was all a misunderstanding, then give her to Hanger. The wedding hall is already set up, and with so many guests here to celebrate, why pick another day when today works just fine? Kyushi, go fetch the young master's wedding robes. Once father-in-law accepts the tea, Miss Shen will officially become part of the family. I looked at Jiang Heng with a wronged expression. Since she is the person dearest to my husband's heart, she absolutely must not be slighted. From now on, Miss Shen will be an equal wife. Shen Su's whole body trembled, and she kowtowed heavily to me. I will surely serve my husband well and share sister's burdens. Jiang Heng looked anxious and was about to refuse, but I quietly pulled him aside. Husband, this is the only plan we have now. Otherwise, who knows what else she might say. If she makes up other things about you? Jiang Heng seemed to suddenly think of something and held my hand with an apologetic look. Hunyang, I've wronged you after all. When we go to the capital in a while, I will definitely explain the injustice to your parents. I smiled and withdrew my hand, pushing him to go perform the wedding ceremony. Father, son, and daughter-in-law, all three wearing bright red wedding clothes. The legitimate mother becomes an equal wife. The second wife becomes a daughter-in-law. Truly unimaginably rare, unprecedented for 300 years before or after. Old Master Jiang received the tea offered by Shen Su. The clatter-clatter sound from the trembling tea lid revealed his inner turmoil. He had just taken a sip when he spat out a mouthful of old blood, rolled his eyes back, and collapsed from his chair. The hall fell into chaos. I quietly approached Shen Su, who was still kneeling on the ground, and lightly brushed my hand through her hair. I arranged for Shen Su to stay in the courtyard next to Kuizhu Court. That night, Shen Su and Chen Hua knocked on old Master Jiang's door together. Jiang Heng, who was attending to the sick, came out frowning. He lightly sniffed with his nose, then pulled Shen Su inside in one motion. Chen Hua stood at the door, grinding her back teeth to bits. For several days in a row, neither Jiang Heng nor Shen Su came out. Old Master Jiang had a stroke from extreme anger, paralyzed in bed, unable to care for himself. Listening to the lewd moans and dirty talk of his own son, and the woman he fancied from the side room, he felt death would be better than living. Busyness associates who came to visit were all received by me one by one. These people praised me for being virtuous and capable while shaking their heads and sighing at old Master Jiang. Indeed, the hottest story in bookhouses and tea-houses nowadays was the wedding farce at the Jiang residence. Those fortunate enough to witness it firsthand were treated as honored guests, vividly describing the chaotic scene at that time. One evening, Chushi quietly returned from outside and handed me a prescription. It was delivered by Chunhua's maid. Looking at the various herbs on the prescription, I felt somewhat dazed. In my previous life, I drank this prescription for over 5 months, until the child in my belly was stabbed to death by Jiang Heng's own hands. Chunhua is pregnant? Chushi said indignantly. Secretly having the maid get pregnancy-preserving medicine from outside? Hemp wonder who she is guarding against? Go get it for her. And by the way, this good news should make Madame Su happy too. In the middle of the night, I was drenched in sweat, trapped in a nightmare. Chushi patted me awake, her face tense. The young master has taken Shen Su and a rough work servant woman to Green Bamboo Courtyard. Chunhua sent her maid to beg Miss for help. I wiped the cold sweat on my forehead, remaining silent. To keep Jiang Heng's backyard childless. Shen Su fabricated the lie that he was a natural eunuch, and Jiang Heng believed it without doubt. Now that Chunhua is pregnant, bringing people there in the middle of the night, what they intended to do is crystal clear. Chushi, just say my cold hasn't recovered. I am plagued by nightmares, and can't be woken up. The next day, Chunhua knelt at my feet, crying her heart out. Miss, I only have one son, the young master. How could he be an illegitimate child? It is clearly that wicked woman Shen Su who is jealous and spreading nonsense. Miss, I am your person. Shen Su humiliating me like this is slapping you in the face. Miss, you can't let people bully you like this. If it were my past life, I would definitely have been moved by her seemingly heartfelt devotion. But now, not only do I feel nothing, I even feel like laughing. Chushi, give Chunhua some of the good medicine we brought from the capital. Once she recovers, there will be more chances for children. When Shen Su heard that Chunhua had hit a wall with me, she hurried over to mock. She went and slept with another man herself, and still has the nerve to cry injustice. I say she should be beaten and sold off, so as not to dirty our Jiang family's threshold. I set down my teacup and asked with a sincere expression, how can sister be so certain this child isn't our husband's? Shen Su curled up the corners of her mouth. Did sister forget? I know a bit about medicine, Before she could finish, she started retching uncontrollably. What is wrong with Madame Su, Kushi? Come take a look. Chushi looked at me, pursing her lips to hold back laughter. Oh my, could Madame Su be? Shen Su's face instantly turned deathly pale. Chushi continued. Could it be something bad you ate this morning? This servant ate the fish porridge from the kitchen this morning, and I was also vomiting and having diarrhea for quite a while. Exactly, it must be those old women in the kitchen being unclean. What if my husband ate something bad? I'll go check. Shen Su breathed a sigh of relief and took her leave. Miss, it seems that medicine is quite effective. Shen Su had been taking contraceptive medicine until she found the right opportunity to tell Jiang Heng she was cured. Drinking a dose of fertility-boosting tonic every day was quite effective indeed. I smiled and patted Chushi on the head. Noted, when you get married in the future, I'll definitely use this prescription to nourish your body. I took Kyushi to visit Jiang Heng and saw him staring at the storybook on the table with a livid face. Husband, this is the 1,000-year ginseng, the emperor-rewarded father. You've been exhausting yourself lately. Have some to replenish your strength. I handed the ginseng soup to him. I reached out to pick up the storybook on the table, but Jiang Heng snatched it away as soon as I opened the first page. Huinyang, these are vulgar words from common folk. Don't dirty your eyes with them. I obediently put the book down and watched with a gentle expression as he drank all the soup in the bowl. Even without looking, I knew what it was about. A young master who, for the sake of his career and future, married a daughter from a noble family he didn't love. After marriage, one romantic entanglement followed another. Even more absurdly, he seduced his own father's second wife into an affair, making love right before his father's sicked. Most shockingly, after their affair was discovered, he brutally poisoned his wife and stabbed their unborn child to death. The story was so melodramatic, the villain so detestable, unprecedented in history. The storybook hit the shelves across the city overnight and became an instant sensation. It defeated the romance of talented scholars and beauties, which had dominated the charts for years, rising straight to the top of the bestseller list. Everyone said the protagonist in the latter half was utterly inhuman. The author had gone too far with the fabrication, yet they found the first half very familiar, vaguely resembling a certain family's autobiography. Huinyang, has your body recovered? There has been so much going on lately, we haven't consummated our marriage yet. Don't let your parents worry tonight. Give yourself to me. He wrapped his arms around my waist, placed me on his lap, his lips pressed against me, lingering on my neck. I suppressed my urge to retch and poked his chest, feigning coyness. That is exactly why I came. I'd like my husband to invite a physician to examine me. If my health is fully recovered tonight, we'll... Jiang Heng laughed heartily. So Huinyang has been thinking about this day for a while now. Good. The physician from last time was quite capable. I'll send someone to fetch him. Husband, you are talking nonsense, teasing Huinyang. I don't think that way at all. I lowered my head, pounding his chest lightly, sneering coldly inside. Okay, cough. Okay, my husband won't tease me anymore. Cough, cough. Huinyang, be gentle. The physician took the pulse of both Jiang Heng and me separately. Young Master Jiang is young and vigorous. Although he overdid it a bit, it is nothing serious. The young madam has recovered from her cold, and her body is fine as well. Jiang Heng was in a great mood, wrapping his arm around my shoulder and pulling me into his embrace. Kyushi ran in with a panicked look on her face. Master, something's wrong. Madame Su was just admiring flowers in the courtyard and fainted. I grabbed the doctor. Doctor, please go check on her quickly. The doctor took the pulse of the unconscious Shen Su, then turned to look at Jiang Heng, hesitating to speak. Jiang Heng instantly understood and made excuses to coax my anxious self back. Shen Su slowly regained consciousness, and the first thing she saw was Jiang Heng sitting properly at the table, watching her. Heng Lang, why are you here? What happened to me? You are pregnant. Shen Su had half risen when she immediately froze, instinctively looking at Jiang Heng. The door was open, the candlelight inside flickered on and off, making Jiang Heng's expression hard to see clearly. Heng Lang, we're having a child. She placed her hand on her lower abdomen, not understanding how she could be pregnant when she had always been taking contraceptives. No, you are having a child. Jiang Heng's icy words sent a shiver through her entire body. Heng Lang, I forgot to tell you some good news. The other day, I secretly took your pulse and found that your illness has already been cured. Jiang Heng said nothing and clapped his hands. Chunhua walked into the room carrying a bowl of steaming medicine. Jiang Heng fell ill. The servant boy said on the night Shen Su miscarried. Jiang Heng kept watch right outside the door, listening to the agonizing screams from inside the room. He drank sullenly all night, completely forgetting about coming to consummate our marriage. Chunhua, driven to hatred by jealousy, caused Madame Su to lose her child, and the very next day was poisoned mute by Jiang Heng and sold off. I went to see Shen Su. Her face was deathly pale, lying on the bed like a tattered rag doll, not a trace of color on her lips. Young madam, I didn't cheat with anyone. I picked up the medicine from the bedside and sniffed it, chuckling softly. I know. Shen Su's originally lifeless eyes suddenly shot toward me. Then why didn't you save me? I leaned in close, whispering each word by her ear with absolute clarity. Why would I save you? You should also experience what it feels like to have your own child called a bastard by their birth father. Shen Su's eyes widened instantly, reaching out to grab me, but was slapped down by Kushi. So, you are venting for your maid. She must have been sold to some brothel by now, right? Serves her right, being bedded by countless men for the rest of her life. Shansu laughed maniacally as a large pool of blood gushed from her lower body, dripping down the bedside onto the floor. A lowly maid, worthy of my concern. You are overthinking it. I just want to watch you never get up from this bed again. Chunhua, instigated by her personal maid, had added hemorrhage powder to last night's abortion medicine. The smell of blood in Shensu's room is so strong, she has probably been bleeding all night. She won't live much longer. Shensu's eyes gradually filled with terror as she screamed frantically. You want to kill me? I am telling you, Henglang won't let you off. I want to see Henglang. I smiled even more gently and ordered the windows opened for ventilation. Your Henglang won't be long before he goes down to keep you company. Shensu, it is snowing, so beautiful and white. Take another look. The biting winter wind mixed with snowflakes poured in through the window, heading straight for the bed. Shensu sneezed several times in a row, and the smell of blood in the air grew heavier. The news of Shensu's death came in the middle of the night. The old servant woman was dozing in the outer room when she was awakened by the cold wind seeping in. Going in and touching the bed, Shensu's hands and feet were ice cold, having breathed her last at some unknown time, frost already forming on her brows and lashes. Even the blood on the floor before the bed was covered with a thin layer of ice. The old servant woman hurried to close the window, tidied up, and sent someone to report to me. I had them wait until the snow was thicker in the latter half of the night, before notifying Jiang Heng, then turned over and went back to sleep. In the morning, I heard that last night, Jiang Heng rushed to see Lady Su and collapsed in the thick snow. Not discovered for half a shikan. Now he has a persistent high fever and is delirious. When it rains, it pours. The authorities came knocking at this time. Shansu had a distant aunt who beat the grievance drum before dawn, accusing Jiang Heng of wanton disregard for human life. Jiang Heng was already disoriented, rambling nonsense in court, extremely disrespectful. Magistrate Liu was already disgusted and, barely containing himself, hastily finished the trial and threw him into prison. When the news reached the manor, I had Kushi add extra food at lunch while ordering someone to spread word. Young Madame Jiang, devastated by the blow, fell unconscious and wouldn't wake. Miss, the young master, Pa, Jiang Heng sent a letter through the jailer, begging you to save him. How many days has it been? 3 days, Chushi said disdainfully. I heard our soldiers captured by the enemy endured over a month of torture without yielding. Yet, after just 3 days, he is crying for his parents, unable to take it. I had thought after all this ordeal, even if he didn't die, he'd at least lose a layer of skin. But I didn't expect him to be so hard to kill, that he actually managed to pull through. Invite the jailer in for some tea, and prepare generous gifts. Jiang Heng had a way to save himself. He just wasn't willing to tear off his own fig leaf. I wasn't in a hurry either. 7 days later, Jiang Heng was released from prison. He couldn't hold on anymore. He'd contracted tuberculosis and feared he would die in prison. So he exposed himself as a natural eunuch, completely incapable of impregnating a woman, claiming Shensu was unfaithful first. In this dynasty, If a woman was convicted of adultery, her father and brothers would personally bind her, weigh her down with heavy stones, and sink her into the river. But all Jiang Heng did was make his equal wife miscarry. It was because her body was too weak that she died. Magistrate Liu brought in several physicians, and sure enough, they diagnosed the condition of a natural eunuch. Jiang Heng cut off his tail to survive, becoming the laughingstock of the entire city in exchange for being declared innocent. I stood at the entrance with Qixi to welcome him. Hunyang, let's leave this place. Let's go to the capital. There are many famous doctors there, maybe. I smiled and shook my head. Jiang Heng, you've run out of chances. Jiang Heng's eyes were panicked. He tried to grab me but fell backward instead. At dinner time, a servant came to report that Jiang Heng had woken up and wanted to see me. Stepping into the study again after 2 lifetimes, I still broke out in a cold sweat. Jiang Heng was leaning on the couch by the window, holding my casual diary in his hands. Evil ghost coming for my life. I am going to expose you, monster. Looking at the black blood on the ground, I was surprised, coughing up blood. You wrote that storybook. You are not Su Hunyang at all. Husband, what are you saying? I am Hu Hunyang. You are confused. Hurry and drink your medicine. I took the medicine Qixi handed over and walked toward him with a smile. Don't come any closer, monster. You are an evil ghost returned from hell. This medicine is poisoned. I won't drink it. I sneered. Now you know, it is poisoned. Too late, you are already coughing up blood. What a pity for such a fine body. TSK, TSK. Jiang Heng's face was ashen, his lower lip trembling. What do you mean, you vicious woman? You've been poisoning me all along. That is right, I admitted readily. Your usual tonic soups had my drugs in them. The way you were tireless like a stud horse, indulging in lust endlessly, that was also from the poison I gave you. Your body has been getting worse and worse, and you even caught a lung disease during these days in prison. That was also me. Now I've come to poison you again. Jiang Heng's eyes nearly split from rage. He wanted to sit up, but suddenly lost all strength and collapsed limply. You, why? I glanced at the cup on the table and pursed my lips. Jiang Heng closed his eyes in despair. If you want my life, just kill me quickly. I pinched his chin and poured an entire bowl of dark medicine down his throat. Su Hunyang. He suddenly opened his eyes to look at me, filled with malicious amusement. If everything you wrote is true, then killing you for adultery wasn't unjust at all. I only regret letting you die too quickly. I carelessly patted his face. Is that so? I don't want you to die a confused ghost. So there are some things I need to tell you. Shen Su said you were a natural eunuch, and you just believed her without a doubt. Never had anyone else examine you? Su knows medicine. She saved my father. Jiang Heng's voice stopped abruptly. You mean impossible? That doctor. I was just examined before getting out of prison. I couldn't help but burst out laughing until tears streamed down. What is so hard about bribing a few doctors? Since you wanted to be a natural eunuch, I had to help you fulfill that wish. What a pity you are not a natural eunuch at all. Whether it was me in the previous life, or Chunhua and Shen Su in this life, they were all pregnant with your children. You killed your 3 children with your own hands. Serves you right to die without descendants. What are you looking at me like that for? Still don't believe me, you know. I have absolutely no reason to lie to you now. The capital already knows about your situation. The people my father sent are waiting at the relay station outside the city. Once you die, I'll be returning to the capital. I am still a virgin. I merely had the misfortune of being tricked into marriage by a scoundrel. It is not a big deal at all. After a year or so, my father will petition the emperor to arrange a marriage for me. With every sentence I spoke, Jiang Heng's face grew a shade paler, his chest heaving non-stop. Black blood kept gushing from his mouth, choking him into ceaseless coughing. I snatched my diary back from his hands. You think someone would have given you this if I hadn't intended it? Save your breath. Forgot to tell you the day after you were imprisoned. Father-in-law passed away. This Zhang household will soon be surnamed Su. Almost forgot that recommendation letter you yearned for the most. I sent it to the capital long ago. Watching Zhang Heng's eyes suddenly light up, I cruelly uttered the next sentence. That physician's son who diagnosed that you weren't a natural eunuch is now Chancellor Ling's last disciple. He has entered the Imperial Academy and will be taking the Imperial examination to enter officialdom next year. It is snowing outside, just like the day Shensu died. Hemorrhaging non-stop, cold wind from all sides. By the time the servant woman found her, she was already frozen stiff. Red drops flowed from Zhang Heng's eyes as he used all his strength trying to sit up. Su Hunyang, I'll kill. I'll kill. Zhang Heng died, eyes wide open, unable to rest in peace. I watched as the light faded from his eyes bit by bit, finally becoming unfocused, a deathly gray. Chushi came over to support me, and only then did I realize that at some point, I had slid down to the ground. Chushi, I never hide anything from you. If I told you everything written on this paper is true, what would you do? Chushi acted as if she hadn't heard, remaining silent the whole way as she helped me back to the courtyard. Miss has been exhausted for so long. Get some good rest. Tomorrow we can go home. Watching her retreating figure, I sighed. If you were to expose me, I wouldn't blame you. Is Miss so overwhelmed with grief that you've become confused? Chushi turned around. Her expression calm and composed, her whole demeanor somehow different from before. The poison was so bitter. I thought after I died, he would spare your life for the sake of Miss being pregnant. But even as I threw myself over Miss, I still couldn't stop that blade from piercing you. I hated it so much that when the King of Hell asked if I wanted to go back, I agreed without hesitation. I was prepared from the day of the wedding, even if I had to kill them early in this life. I would protect Miss. But when I saw Miss push him away expressionlessly, deceiving him that you didn't want to consummate the marriage, I knew. Miss is just like me. I grew up with Miss, so naturally my heart is with Miss. Tears fell onto the bed. I looked at Chushi, as if my past life and present life were overlapping. Chushi, let's go home together. Okay. Zhang Heng's death stirred up a wave of heated discussion in the city, but his past debauchery and absurdity were known throughout the city. The physician also revealed that for the sake of ultimate pleasure, he recklessly used potent drugs meant for livestock, depleting his vital essence and damaging his foundation. Moreover, over the years, to treat his congenital impotence, he desperately sought any cure and used many forbidden drugs. On top of that, he contracted tuberculosis in prison and had been coughing up blood ever since he returned. They thought he'd recover with some rest. But before the physician could even arrive, he passed away in the middle of the night. Everyone in the Jiang household was dead, leaving only me. The people my father sent went to find Prefect Liu, stating they would take me back to the capital. The husband is dead, but the household remains. Rashly returning home might be. I immediately expressed my willingness to donate half of all the Jiang household's property to the government to improve people's livelihood. Prefect Liu's face immediately lit up with joy, holding my hand. With great righteousness and passionate fervor, he went on a tirade. Niece really has had a hard life. I always knew the Zhang household were no good people. Fortunately, Niece didn't suffer too much. Oh, and say hi to your father for me when you get back. 6 years ago, when I went to the capital to report on my duties, he told me to work hard and that I had a bright future. Haven't seen him in years. I quite miss him. I understood his hint and expressed that I would inform my father upon returning to think of a solution regarding his transfer. Dear niece is really sensible. Go on, go on. Don't worry, your uncle here will handle the matter of selling off the Zhang household's property for you. I released all the maidservants and older servants of the Zhang manor from their indenture contracts, gave them severance pay, and sent them each back to their own homes. I looked at the carriage at the gate and exchanged a glance with Kyushi. Suddenly, I felt a bit emotional. Everyone, said Miss Sue, had a bitter fate just over 3 months after marrying in. The entire Jiang manor was wiped out, and she could only dejectedly return to the capital. But only we knew the truth. This road home we crossed through life and death, and it took us 6 years. Miss, let's go home. Let's go home.